Hello, everybody, and welcome back. We are about to start our third round of the night. We are here in week number 2 of the PSS 5. I'm Michael Hoyp. I'm joined in the booth by none other than Lanny Huang. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm
Yeah.
here with my second favorite Michael J, and
Yeah.
I'm excited to commentate some Magic.
Yeah. So you were playing in round 1, and things went your way. So you're feeling good about things. Now you're sitting at 1-1. You got a lot of matches ahead. But let's look at what
I
we
need a second win to escape the curse.
Okay.
Though.
So what is the
I
curse?
could still be the cursed. The curse is that if you get third at LobsterCon, you just tank the PSS. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
Well, we'll see if we dodge it.
How big is that sample size? Is that sample size of 1?
Sample size of 1.
Okay. All right. But it's 1 for 1. So yeah.
Yeah, it's 1 for 1. So I mean, if it happens to me,
yeah.
then the next person who gets third in LobsterCon probably doesn't even want to sign up for PSS.
Yeah, or maybe they're just like, I don't know. I guess I would probably rather do well in LobsterCon than be in the PSS.
I thought about this.
But, yeah.
I thought about this, and I can't decide if I would rather do well in LobsterCon or PSS.
Okay.
But
all right, our third round match is between Tom Metelsky and Jared Doucette. So let's look at the decks that they have available.
Wait, do I get to call it? Hold on, I'm going to call it. I think Tom's on Rock, and I think Jared's on Goblins.
Okay, so the decks that Tom brought to the tournament, he has the Blue-White Stifle Knot, Blue-White Landstill, and the Rock, while Jared has Red-Green Goblins, Replenish, and the Rock. So Tom played his Blue-White Stifle Knot list last week, and Jared played the Parallax Replenish combo last week. So you are predicting Rock from Tom and Goblins from Jared?
Yeah, let me think. Who's Jared's? Jared plays Mike Arnold next week because he already played Rich, so he goes into Mike Arnold's lineup. Yeah, I think he wants Rock for Mike Arnold's Goblins. Well, it's actually really interesting for Jared because Jared can play a Rock Mirror match this week and a Goblins Mirror match next week, which would be super interesting. But we'll see. Yeah, I'm gonna go with. Let's go with Bouncing Beebles. Let's go with Rock versus Goblins.
All right, so we will reveal the first one. Tom is on the Rock. So this looks like a Rock list that is this just classic Lanny Rock? I mean, I guess I see Phyrexian Ragers, I see a Corrosion Tusker, I see Call of the Herd, and I see the Cycling Lands. That's, to me, usually the indications of Lanny Rock.
Yeah, this is Lanny Rock, but at this point, you should probably call it Metelsky Rock because he has spent far more matches playing it. I just, pushed the boulder down the hill, but Tom has turned it into a rock.
Yep. Yeah, he's been a fan of the Phyrexian Rager, so he's put it in his Degael lists and then the Rock, and so he's a believer of the 2/2, the 3-mana 2/2.
Yeah, I mean, Michael J. Like, I have a question for you. Have you ever gotten a 2-for-1?
Yeah,
because let me tell you, it's an addictive feeling.
Yeah,
and Tom's deck is full of them.
Yeah, that's what the Rock is trying to do. It's trade card for card or get little increments of advantage with your Wall of Blossoms and then slow the game down. And eventually, like Pernicious Steed, multiple permanents away. Cabal Therapy can take out multiple cards. Just kind of nickel and dime your opponent and just outlast them. So we will see. So Jared will be playing the Red Green's Goblins list. So you are correct, Lanny. Very, very well thought out.
As a member of the PSS, I spent a lot of time thinking about how players will behave in the PSS.
Yeah. So the Red Green Goblins list, this looks pretty standard. I guess the things that are variable is the non-basic land slot. Sometimes it's Rishadan Port, sometimes it's Wasteland, sometimes you see Ancient Tomb or a combination of those. And then the other thing is kind of the silver bullets. There is a Goblin Tinkerer in the main. Sharpshooter is very standard. Beyond that, there's no. I don't see a. Is there a Goblin King? I don't think there is in this list. And 2 Skirk Prospector. Is there anything that stands out about this Red Green Goblins list, or what do you think? And then we can kind of talk about this matchup too.
What stands up to me is that a extremely smart player sort of demonstrated how powerful Goblins is, and that player's name was Michael J. Hoyt. And the lessons learned from Michael J. Hoyt, which was covered by Will Hurst, and I Got Questions, apparently didn't land on Jared Doucette. opting for the main deck Tinkerer and the Wasteland. Yeah, Wasteland Port. I mean, it's interesting because when you look at the PSS reveal, like I feel like Wasteland is very, very strong against Replenish. It's probably quite strong against Michael Arnold's lineup. So interesting choices there. But yeah, I mean, the Ancient Tomb for Siege Gang innovation, it's rough to not see any of the 3 Goblins players opting for that. Instead, they are cowards upping their green source count so that they can like cast their natural. Just get lucky, find your green mana, cast your naturalize. This matchup is super cool. Jared played against my favorite Michael J in the side event of LozerCon. He ringleadered for 4 cards twice in a row, still managed to lose it. This is Magic at its finest. I'm very excited. I put this matchup at a dead even 50-50.
Yeah, this is a match where I think there's a good amount of play. There's a lot of interactions, and I'm really excited to see it. So, if you had to pick which side of this would you want to be on? Would you want to be the Rock or the Goblins?
I would want to be the Goblins because the Goblins is more of an unfair deck, and I always fear Goblins and I never fear Rock.
Okay,
so I would take Goblins here.
All right,
but obviously I'm rooting for my guy Tom with a very innovative Rock list. Yep. So
we got chat
fired off.
Chat's calling for poll. Let me bring that up quick before we start things. So I'll get that poll ready. Let's see. We have managed poll. Who will win?
So one inside baseball thing is that Tom keeps on like taking lists that I design. I just like hand him like the perfect 75. He always has to change like 4 cards, and I just like don't always agree. Like what he's got like what he has like curse totems in his Dreadnought sideboard. In this Rock list, he loves Withered Wretch. Did he add the? I need to look at his deck list again. Tom Metelsky, Rock. Okay, no Withered Wretch in the sideboard, thank God.
I got the poll up, so if you want to give your input, we can see who thinks they're going to win this match. But let's jump down, and Lanny, if you want to let our players know that they can begin. I guess now we will reveal. Now the players have voted. Tom is on the play. We could see here. He says, "Hi, Phil."
Tom is on the play, and J-Dog is on Multi-6.
Okay, that was hashtag Premodern card of the day. So that was that Bouncing Beebles?
Bouncing Beebles, yeah. Right. Shout out Phil Wynn. We love him. He rules.
Yes. Love his content and love his support for the format.
Let me drop this link of the deck list into chat for the boys and girls and non-binaries.
I got one real quick. That has all the deck lists. That has all the deck lists for PSS 5. It actually has all the previous Premodern Showdown series deck lists as well. So,
okay, we fired off the action. It's a Mog Fanatic versus a Treetop Village. So no lackey start from Jared. Tom is doing good with his no black mana, but while it blossoms, surely we'll find it. And this is we've got a sick Karpaluzan Forest art.
Yep. Jared is known to black border some of his cards, so that's the 5th edition one, I think.
2 Mogs. Not exactly the start that we want from the Goblin side, so we're already moving over to a grindy plan, and Tom is pretty happy to play that game unless he doesn't hit his land drop here.
With 2 Wall of Blossoms, I mean, like drawing a couple extra cards should help you hit your land drops. And I mean, he is pretty land heavy. Is it 25 is usually the count? 24?
Yeah, 25 is the count for a little Lanny Rock.
One thing that's nice, I mean, like
my God, it's a full pass from Jared. So Tom is going to very likely. Okay, so there's 2 things happening here. One, Jared's hand is all gas, but being stuck on 2 is really, really bad because one of the key cards for him is going to be Goblin Ringleader. And if Tom can get a therapy out and degas Jared's hand, he's going to be in a great spot. But yeah, this not hitting every land drop on the Goblin side while the Rock continues to build the board is going to be pretty rough for Jared. We have a pile driver. Yeah, he doesn't even have like a gem palm incinerator to cycle. This pile driver is puny in the face of 2/2, draw a card, lose 1 life.
I would say if there is a matchup where I think where Phyrexian Rager stands out, it probably is this Goblins one where you're pretty happy to trade it with a lot of things like Ringleader, Pile Driver, or War Chief. You're all happy to block and have that card. So
yeah, they all have 2 toughness. Go figure. Just the perfect card. And it's really showcasing here. But if Tom stumbles on his development for a turn or two, Jared could find himself back in the game. Again, a genius Michael J. Hoyp added Ancient Tomb to his deck. Imagine like a little Ancient Tomb Ringleader action. So Tom is just representing that he has removal for the Pile Driver, or a second Phyrexian Rager, or a Deranged Hermit, which would roll right here and pretty much end the game.
also, I mean, like maybe he's possibly willing to trade a Treetop Village for a Pile Driver.
Yeah. Or maybe he's just going to run out a deed and chump block. Yeah, it might be a treetop. Maybe Thomas flooded. I thought he might have been screwed. He might be flooded. You know how many total lands Jared Doucette has access to?
It's pretty standard to play 24. I think the Goblins list. I think that's. If I had to guess, that's what he's at, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think right now, it's kind of just a shame to. Multi-6, only have 2 lands. These Mog Fanatics are just super anemic into Wall of Blossoms. And Jared is unwilling to trade with the Treetop Village. I guess if he sent, then Tom could have just... There's the therapy. Tom could have just sent... could have blocked a Fanatic and gotten a free Fanatic out of it and just whittled down the Pile Driver.
So I have a question. If Tom sees, okay, so he's seeing a hand of matron,
3 matrons, matron, naturalized, and ringleader. Oh my lord. Well, he didn't name Goblin Matron, but he is now. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, my follow-up question is, if Tom were to have a card like Pernicious Deed, how aggressive would you use it in this situation? You've seen Jared's hand. Like, if you taking out like Mog Fanatics, does that change how you like? Do you just get aggressive and you're attacking with Treetop Villages, or you like is that a reasonable line, or do you think Tom is fine to play things slow and say I'm the better long game deck?
Yeah, I think that Tom is going to basically cover any possibility of losing this game. So a Pernicious Deed for low value like that doesn't really advance his game that much, and he's much better off just playing creatures and only deeding if he gets truly overwhelmed. But at this point in this board position, I just don't see any possibility that he gets overwhelmed by anything. I mean, at this point, we're really just cycling cards until we can find a Deranged Hermit, or just like, just even a Call of the Herd is good here. But yeah, looking at the players' life totals, like Tom's at 19. He really would only need a deed if this Ringleader pops off, and then all of a sudden he's facing down a board.
Yeah,
and I would be impressed if Tom is sandbagging a deed from this spot, because he did have 3 open mana on turn 5 to just run one out. So I owe Tom an apology for not saying that he's a superb player. He definitely makes plays that are superb, but
yeah, I think that like the natural tendency is to think about Pernicious Deed of like wiping your opponent's board, but like that was a situation like if you do it for 2, you lose a couple of Wall of Blossoms, and when the Pile Driver is just by itself, it's obviously not very scary. So that might have been a situation. That's kind of what I talked about. Like, do you just want to use it just to get rid of 2 Mog Fanatics?
My lord!
But
he's a master. I mean, I don't know if that deed came from the left side of his hand, but that was a beautiful deed sandbag. Mm-hmm. That said, I have no interest in trading my walls for a Pile Driver. So,
I mean, also there's a situation where you just might leave that Pernicious Deed on the table and like make Jared play another card to the table before you before you activate it. Looks like not. We're gonna use it right here just for one.
Yeah.
So
He's responding so that the. Oh no, it's for two. It's for two.
okay, it was for two.
Okay,
Right.
I think that Tom is just gonna take the beat down. Then he's just gonna attack for 6 here and close out the game, or just do that. I mean, if I was gonna, yeah, it's pretty good.
Deranged Hermit with the recurring nightmare is just like the added kicker, right? Definitely to a point where Jared's not going to be able to come back. So an unfortunate draw for Jared, where he started off with the Mog Fanatics and didn't really have anything after that. Never saw that third land, and the Rock overcomes.
Yeah, that was an interesting turn. I have to imagine that if he had the Deed and the Hermit, he would have just cast Hermit there. So I think that going into the turn after the Deed, Tom realized the situation he was in and could literally just attack with 3-drop villages 3 times. And even if Jared drew straight lands, there was nothing that Jared could have done to stop him. So I think that one thing that Tom has shown, if you watched his monthly final against Aaron Dix, when he plays the Rock, he really does choose his moment to change gears and start applying pressure. And he's not like afraid to do it. I think that he like that D line. I don't think many people would have agreed with, because you just lose so much of your own value. But at that stage of the game, knowing your opponent can't do anything, Jared had no outs to triple street top attack because he's stuck on 2 lands. He only has Ringleader in play. So he couldn't even like put 3 power of goblins in play to like block a treetop to like possibly survive. So Tom, like very cognizant of that situation, is like, okay, we're done grinding. These walls don't matter. I'm just going to attack with treetops and get it done. And, really showing us his understanding and his prowess with the black midrange deck.
Yeah, so I have the deck list up for the Rock. The sideboard is 1 Vendetta, 1 Crumble, 1 Diabolic Edict, 1 Tranquil Domain, 3 Naturalize, 1 Dust Bowl, 4 Engineered Plague, 2 Haunting Echoes, and Recurring Nightmare. So the removal spells and then the Engineered Plagues are sticking out. Are there other cards? Is Recurring Nightmare something that you want to do more in this matchup? That you would bring in a second copy? Or, I mean, you're already bringing in a lot of cards. I don't know if you're going to be able to have room. What are the underperformers, I guess, in this matchup that you're looking to sideboard out?
I have effectively 2 ideas for what you can do here. Tom can elect to remove all of his discard from his deck, and just chalk his deck full of value, and that's just 8 cards. He'll be able to fit in all 8 of his like awesome plagues and removal, etc. The other option would be to keep your discard in with the goal to like protect an engineered plague. Jared has to go up to 4 naturalize post board. I don't know. Does he have that? He's got the whole breach too. Does he have something random?
Bring up Jared's list. So he has 3 Tormod's Crypt, 1 Pyroblast, 2 Hull Breach, 2 Naturalize, 3 Pyrokinesis, 1 Red Elemental Blast, 2 Tranquil Domain, and a Gem Palm Incinerator.
So Jared's going to be in an interesting spot where he has to respect Plague a lot. I don't know if that means he has to go all in and run the 6 naturalize effects or 8 naturalize effects. Jeez, he does not want to lose to Parfait. So yeah, given all that, I think that the players are going to be playing sort of an interesting dance, specifically around Engineered Plague.
Okay, let's jump down to the match.
All right. It looks like they're still shuffling up.
Yeah, it looks like had to make some sideboard decisions, and now they're getting... So a lot of the sideboard games, like when you play goblins, you're like Engineered Plague is a very, very common sideboard card. So it's not something that's the goblins deck is unprepared for, but obviously it's still not something that it wants to see. So with 4 copies, I think is more than I normally see in sideboards for the Rock, and so we'll see how many Tom draws and how quickly. So
yeah, I mean, the calculus behind 4 Engineered Plague and Lanny Rock really is just like it's you can just get completely crushed by elves and goblins, and it's your best card against them. So I think
there definitely have been situations where one engineered plague is in play against goblins, and like Pile Driver, War Chief, and Ringleader still do a lot of work where, yeah, they're smaller, but they still can pack a punch. Like if Pile Driver is still alive and there's goblins in play, then it's
if you had Phyrexian Rager,
that's
then
true.
all of a sudden your Rager can brawl with that with all the 2/2s now, 1/1s. I'll tell them to fire it off. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I already did. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Yeah, they can start their sideboard games when they're ready. So.
So yeah, I mean, I think that with Tom's board presence, it looks like he's going to take a mulligan, and it looks like Jared just kept 7, or hasn't kept 7 so far. He's just dealt his hand.
I was reading that he has kept, and he's just signifying, he's letting us know how many cards he's in his hand. But
okay, cool. Yeah, he's not even looking at them, so
yeah.
it must be. Yeah, I think that the engineered plague backed up with a high density of blockers in the form of Call of the Herd and Phyrexian Rager, I think is going to be a viable strategy. I think, again, Tom on the draw is going to be relying on 3 copies of Vendetta to answer Goblin Lackey. So that's something that's like pretty scary. And of course, Engineered Plague can reset the board against a fast Siege Gang. But once again, 3 copies of Siege Gang Commander. So Jared has a little bit less access to the nuts. Yeah, we'll have to we'll have to see. I mean, Jared was a little mana screwed in game 1, so that wasn't much of a game, but Tom just accrued such incredible value. I mean, one of the big things about the Rock is that the value comes in these like sort of 2-for-1 creatures that looks like a multi-5. So the luck pendulum is swinging back. But yeah, how good a Wall of Blossoms is, the second part of the 2-for-1, right? The 0/4 varies wildly from matchup to matchup. It's pretty bad against decks containing Oath of Druids. It's pretty good against decks with a bunch of aggressive creatures. So the fact that Tom had 3 Wall of Blossoms and a Phyrexian Rager, which are 2-for-1s, they pack the board immediately, was pretty huge for him in game 1. I mean, BK is asking how many cards an Engineered Plague is worth, and I would say,
I mean, I'll ask a question. Like, if you're just talking about an opening hand, I think that's a different question of like, if you're gonna like, there's certain points of the game where like in your opening hand it has some value, but you still could lose to a lackey draw, and it doesn't have as much value there. But then like when you get to that mid game, that card is the most important card, even better than a Pernicious Deed, I think. So.
Michael J, what do you feel like when you're the Goblins player facing down the Rock? Are you scared of the Rock, or?
I kind of how you said you're just not
4. You're
not scared of the Rock kind of thing, like, but you're definitely cognizant of like, okay, do I have to play around Pernicious Deed or whatnot? Do I have the availability to do it? But if I'm a Goblins player, I guess I'm not unhappy, but I guess knowing that they have 4 Engineered Plagues, I guess I'm certainly not excited if you're Jared, because Naturalize is not a card I like really want to bring in, like in this matchup, but because there are discard spells that could potentially take it out, though we kind of anticipate them coming out for Tom. So I wouldn't be excited to play against the Rock, especially the sideboard games with Goblins, but
yeah, that makes sense. But would you play against the Rock with 4 cards in hand?
Yes. Yeah.
Are you down for that?
Yeah.
I offer you that.
With a plethora of decks, you could give me a lot of decks that if I'm playing against the Rock with 4.
All right. So Tom was like, I really miss land tax in this format. I want to get as much shuffling in as possible. We're just gonna mull to 3. I mean, at this point, well, what?
Like land Engineer Plague? Would you keep that? Like, I don't.
Yes, snap keep. But how bad are Tom's draws that the Rock with like the most the most dense hand
middling,
district,
like
they
just
literally
average
have to
hands.
be
Yeah.
zero landers. Like the first hand was like a 2-lander. Tom's like, okay, like I can do better than that. Second hand was like a 1-lander. It's like, okay, can't keep that. Third hand was 0 lands. Is like, okay, well that's not particularly fair. 4-card hand, all lands maybe. I don't know. I would keep all lands on 4.
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna have to find out.
Does Jared get a little more nervous now that he's going down 3? Like, what are the chances that I lose this game? Like, how embarrassing would that be? Like,
Jared's actually wondering if like Tom's just gonna open on Urza's tower and just be like, oh no, I'm cooked. I would say that the stakes are very high for Jared to win this game 7 cards against 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
can you remember winning a pre-modern match when you've mulliganed to 3? I don't know if I have. I've definitely won games of Magic. I remember winning modern games of Magic when I've mulled to 3.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Okay, so there's a Baron Moore, there's a Goblin. Okay, this game's over. So I'll tell you this story. I won a game against the Rock where on Replenish, my hand was 6 lands and an Opalescence, and I was playing on Magic Online. I misclicked Keep, and then I like won the game.
Okay.
But that's not a mull to 3. That's just like an accidental mull to whatever. So we got like a Ringleader against Tap Baron Moore. Like a Ringleader hits 3, and I think that Jared is pretty upset here to have wasted such a sweet draw against Tom's mulligan.
Yeah.
Although the Skirk Prospector actually has to, nothing matters, but notably, Jared has failed to hit his 3rd land once more.
Well, that he's very fortunate that he has a Skirk Prospector in this situation because he's found a 3rd land.
Yep.
And Tom's just hanging out in the Baron Moore. He's just doing as rock players do. Yeah.
Yeah. The status of that Moore is Baron. It's not producing any energy or mana. Wow. So Jared, with an abundance of ways to end the game, decides to go for. He spent like an impressive amount thinking about his turn 3 play.
I would say like I find myself in positions where I'm in like an overwhelming board presence, and I'm like I'm probably like 99% to win this, and I'm like still I feel bad when I'm like making decisions because I still want to optimize things, and like I want to play around the 1 card that they have or whatever, and like that's kind of what like Jared was doing is like he could have made like any play at that point, it didn't matter, and but I can definitely relate.
Use the take back.
Okay.
And you have a finite number of takebacks in this lifetime. Don't want to use them when you're in such commanding positions.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's that's just like 1 less takebacks when you get up to the pearly gates of heaven. It might come down to that number. Yeah. Like the angel's just gonna ask you. It's like, how many takebacks did you play in pre-modern webcam? It's like you're 1 over the limit.
What if
you really need to take back the War Chief?
I think probably the prerequisite of getting into heaven is just like how often you played rock in pre-modern. That's probably what it is, right? True. They're like, yeah, you're a good guy. You're definitely a good guy rock player. You could come on in.
That is undoubtedly true. And given that's the case, everyone on this call except for me is going to be pretty high in equity. On getting into Magic Heaven. So a little bit rough to see a non-game, but a little bit awesome to see a decider game as a result. So now both players can't afford to get unlucky, can't afford to make a mistake. And well, we know that Solmaka is a saint, and Tom might have to check if he accidentally boarded out some lands or something, because these mulligans are breaking my heart.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I guess if you're just going to condense all your mulligans into 1 game, so be it. All right, you threw 1 game away. But, like, it certainly doesn't feel good. Like, you just feel like, all right, I've used up all these mulligans. I don't need to
mulls from both players.
Okay.
Mulls from both players. So we're good.
Does feel a little bit better.
the Goblins player has access to a lot more. If he lackey ringleaders again, and Tom is short on Vendetta. Well, Tom's on the play now, so his range opens up significantly.
Wall of Blossoms and Diabolic Edict and some other copies of those. Yeah, because I would say if both players mulligan, Goblin still has kind of like that powerhouse draw of lackey into ringleader or siege king commander, or sometimes even just lackey into matron into something else. But given that Tom's on the play, he does have a lot more interactions with that lackey.
It's unfortunate. I armed Tom with a 25 land deck with cycling lands, and he's still on the mulligan train. A little bit rough to see, but Tom is saying, I hope you all enjoy watching people shuffle. And listen, you're talking to a land tax player. I'm addicted to shuffling.
Do you think that the cycling lands from the Onslaught, are those underplayed in Premodern? Like, should more decks be playing that? Like, I've seen some people in the blue decks, like the control decks, just play that like instead of opt, or like
for sure instead of opt, right? It's just better than opt, because if you keep a one lander with opt or a two lander with opt and then you brick, that's like the worst thing in the world. And in control decks, like opt is very often just trying to hit your land drop. So I love it in any blue deck. I just haven't done enough yelling at the squad to add it to their land steal decks, because I have no interest in helping them with that monstrosity.
We do see the turn one Tranquil Thicket, so the cycling land of the green variety is on Tom's board.
Oh, Mountain Go. Already no turn one plays, although I would imagine that the Mogs are probably out of his deck at this point. Tom has just about the best draw that you can have, both his colors, Wall of Blossoms, and we are cooking.
Yeah, much closer to the first game that we saw, where the Wall of Blossoms coming down to stymie any attacks, and Piledriver will need some help to get big enough to get through that wall.
So if Jared finds his third land, we'll have a game. It'll be something. And if that Dust Bowl claims that third land, we will also have a game. I don't know how aggressively Tom would want to use it, but we'll go ahead and see if Jared plays a non-basic first. But yeah, the double wall draw is already pretty convincing here, and it's possible this Wasteland could mix things up.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people have talked about Wasteland in the Goblins deck, and from a lot of the people that have played it, including myself, there's so many times that you just don't really want to activate it because you are such a mana hungry deck, like with casting War Chiefs or Ringleaders or Siege Chain Commanders, that it kind of hurts yourself just as much as it hurts your opponent. And so here's a situation. I mean, like, not saying that Jared should have used the Wasteland, but like he's obviously playing the War Chief while he can. So
Jared deciding whether or not to attack, it's effectively irrelevant here, as he's got no way to cover 4 toughness, and Tom has no way to punish. Okay, it's just making a statement.
You could be bluffing a Pyrokinesis. I don't know if that's a card that you sideboard in, but definitely I think it's right to attack there. Plus,
agreed.
You got goblins in your deck; they're meant to attack. So,
we're vendetting the War Chief. Okay. Tom using his mana. That War Chief is obviously pretty scary if Jared has a follow-up Siege King on 4. And yeah, I don't know. Times like these, if you're gonna just like tap your lands for mana every turn. We've got Engineered Plague.
Okay.
So this, and we've got a 4th land drop. Things are looking pretty decent for Tom. Jared doesn't have access to green mana yet to address this plague, and he's just going to be playing X1s. However, I don't know. I don't hate. I mean, Tom's spot is like really good, right? Oh, thanks, Tom.
Clarifying
maybe he may name plant.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And that.
Well, So you're wondering why we run 4 Lanny Rock. This is why, because drawing 2 is never a bad thing against these decks.
Yep.
And it's at this point, Jared's probably thinking to himself, maybe his deck contains like 5 or 6 naturalized effects. And maybe it contains 4, and at this point he might want 8.
Yes. He would take as many as you would give him. So,
although notably, this wasteland is pretty in vain here. But okay, second one's a little spicy.
Taking out green mana.
Okay. This could scuff out if Tom doesn't have access to mana. Oh,
that's a great card to draw after you get wastelanded twice.
Rager just saves the day.
Mike, keep raging on.
Mike, how good would Yavimaya Elder have been in that spot? just curious. Just wondering if green 1 was accessible, more accessible than 2B. I don't know.
Yep.
I'm not trying to say scoreboard or anything, but
I don't know.
Phyrexian Rager is gonna rage.
I'll still play my elders though.
I mean, you had 3 Wall of Blossoms.
No, I didn't have any. I didn't have any.
You had 0? Okay. Well,
I had 4 birds and 4 Wall of Roots.
Yeah, we'll have to run something where you can get in the ring with your decks, because I really respect what you're doing. Staying sidelined, working a long 4 to 5 hour night. Really for everyone's entertainment. That just super rules. And you also spare us from seeing your Wall of Blossoms list rock deck, which is kind of a win-win if you think about it.
So BK the owner of Misty Mountain Games in Madison, Wisconsin, has asked, is Lanny wearing a Misty shirt? Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I thought it was really nice of you guys to put me right here on the shirt. The goat. I'm just kidding. Tom's the goat. Tom's the goat right now with his double Engineer Plague and his active Dust Bowl. I would have sandbagged a natural. What's happening? We lost the Engineer Plague. There's a naturalized under that Carplusian Forest. Okay. Jared smartly not committing green mana unless he has the naturalized. The crowd cheering for Tom to Dust Bowl Jared. What do you think about Dust Bowl Volrath Stronghold? Oh, is Jared going to do it again? I mean, he has to, yeah.
Does this mean he has he's got to have another naturalized, right?
I mean, a Tranquil Domain would have just been so sick.
Yes.
But alas, the Rager continues to get in. Tom is actually short on green mana, so if he has a Hermit, he doesn't have access to it. And we're going to see another Carplusian Forest in exchange for Engineer Plague exchange, most likely.
I guess. Tom's like, I got more of these.
I don't actually love this from Tom because 1, it's captured no value. 2, Jared Doucette has access to the card Tranquil Domain.
Okay.
And then 3, if Tom takes the line Dust Bowl first and then runs out the Plague, there's any number of 1/1 goblins that Jared could have committed on this turn. There's the Tranquil Domain. This is going to be a ringleader for 2. Not a bad ringleader. Actually, just like that, we have a game. And, a few observations. The Wastelands actually did look pretty good from Jared, so you got to hand it to him for cutting Tom off green completely, whereas, double port would have been less active. There's been 2 Engineered Plagues dealt with. Tom is short on green mana, and he's just taken the Ponza line. With a mountain here, we could
any mana source, then at least Jared gets a formidable attack.
Yeah, an opportunistic attack for sure. It's going to get chumped. But Jared could conceivably claw back into the game.
I guess
but-
Jared being at 7, like it's and there are 2 treetop villages, so I guess there's only one green source, so like one only one treetop can attack right now. So I guess if Tom is gonna turn on the gas and get aggressive, those treetops are probably gonna get active. Yeah,
and
I
we know
guess this is
Tom
tough.
does.
I think if Jared had a lot more life, then maybe there might be enough time for him to kind of build up a board. But I think he's
yeah, his goblins can't play defense, huh? Like he doesn't really have anything. I'll take a Goblin King.
Yeah.
Anything to try to produce some defense, and yeah, I think so. Talking about that turn where Tom had the choice to Dust Bowl or play the second Engineer Plague, Jared could have had double Naturalize. He could have just been sitting on Naturalize or just like top take a Naturalize, and then Tom would be left with 0 plagues, and then the Dust Bowl and the green source wouldn't matter. But luckily for Tom, Jared maybe didn't go up to 8 Naturalize effects. I mean, I probably wouldn't, just because you can't just be only playing Naturalize. You can just like lose a fair game like we saw in game 1. Call the Herd could just hold off your team. I like the comment that Tom could win with a ham sandwich, and I just would like to point out that Phyrexian Rager is a ham sandwich. And ham sandwiches are good. Like, what kind of sandwiches does Jared have right now? Yeah, I like this attack from Jared. He's not going to block, so he doesn't have anything 2 power to contest this Rager or 3 power to contest this Treetop. So
yeah, the 0-1 pile driver gets to 4 power thanks to the other 2 goblins, so it would be able to knock out a Wall of Blossoms.
And Tom, it probably will. Tom says, "I'll take 4."
Yeah, I don't see. I mean,
what if Jared goes triple pile driver? What if Jared goes ringleader into double pile driver? I don't know.
Yeah,
I mean, Tom's certainly going to attack for 5, put Jared down to 2, and then Jared needs to start blocking. It's not looking good. At least Pernicious Deed isn't good here on the bright side.
Yeah.
Green Mana Source is fine. A Green Mana Source doesn't do it. We could dust a Wasteland if we were feeling frisky, but that's only if we have a land.
I would just be inclined to fire up the Treetop attack for 5, put Jared to 2, and the trample on the Treetop Village is just really problematic.
Yeah, there's the Jared would need green source, naturalize. He doesn't have access to Goblin King. Anywhere. I mean, it's fair. I was inclined to cut the Goblin King from the venerable Michael J. Hoyt list because it just kind of felt like it doesn't really do too much. But yeah, I mean, at this point, if I'm Jared, I'm wishing that my wastelands were green sources and that I had eight naturalizes.
So Tom is considering options, and looks like he's just attacking with the Rager. So
I don't love this line, especially. Yeah, I'm not sure what Tom's cooking. Just another Phyrexian Rager. Okay.
Indeed, but
okay, so Tom is gonna go for blow everything up and then kill you. Yeah, this is a extremely conservative line. It's not likely Jared can punish, of course. But yeah, I like to attack for 5. I can't imagine what goes wrong from there besides triple pile driver.
I okay.
Um,
Oh well, I was to say because I was thinking that he could just blow up the board at end of turn, but that would get rid of the Rager. Um, and so without a green source there, he has no out of being able to attack with 2 treetop villages on the next turn.
yeah, exactly. I think Tom is just choosing to lock this game up in the slowest way possible, for fear that uh, Jared might have some sequence of goblin pile drivers, and uh, I mean, I don't even know at this point. But yeah, it's not looking like it's gonna matter, but it was a pretty conservative line. I feel like there was no outs for Jared.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom just wants to play more rock.
Yep.
He's having fun. He's like Pernicious Deed. I want to cast that card.
So Jared has a Goblin Matron, which is doing its best demonic tutor impersonation since it dies immediately and costs 2 mana. He gets a Gem Palm Incinerator. So I don't know if Jared's intention is to finish off a wall or to get rid of prevent a treetop village from attacking. But I guess the problem
he's
is
gonna try not to die.
I guess the problem is I guess I was to say Deed interacts awkwardly with Incinerator, but I think if Deed is blowing up any of the creatures on Jared's side, you're fine with that since it would destroy a lot of Tom's stuff.
We're getting in there. We're gonna try to finish off a wall, and or just hold up this Incinerator for the purpose of, yeah. I mean, Tom just got put in a weird spot here, but again, doesn't truly matter. So now Jared is priced into holding up his Gem Palm Incinerator to stop a lethal attack. But
I'll say if
Yeah,
Tom had a removal spell combined with killing one of the goblins, like a smother or a diabolic edict, then he'd be able to shut off. I guess you just in response you would cycle the Gem Palm, so maybe that wouldn't work. I was to say,
no, he can respond to the Gem Palm trigger on the stack. So with the Gem Palm trigger,
yeah, I was saying preemptively
to
force 5 damage through on this turn, but
oh right, yeah, yeah. I mean, he can still do it, and any removal spell will do it in response to the Gem Palm trigger here. But
now if you do, if you can't activate Deed now because it would blow up your treetop.
Yeah. Deed was definitely. Okay, so that was the removal you're representing.
Yeah. So Incinerators for 3, it looks like it's pointed at, I presume, the treetop village.
I guess the Rager would technically hedge against exactly removal spell if Jared has the read, but I don't really know. I don't really know if it matters too much. I definitely wouldn't pop Deed here. I mean, Tom's got 2 cards in hands.
I guess he does have the Wasteland that he could use on the attacking treetop anyways.
Oh, yeah, of course. Right. Okay, so Wasteland rules, turns out. This Wasteland's super good. This isn't like a horrible spot for Jared. It's going to answer Tom's entire board. And Tom is left with the decision to just blow up the board himself, and he takes it.
This does not seem bad for Jared. I mean, all things considered, right?
Yeah, I mean,
and so you get a treetop village there, and you still have your Wasteland.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this seems like a spot where Jared could win now.
Yeah.
Like if CJ comes down here.
And now there's no Deed.
Yeah. I mean, props for Jared to sticking in with it. But yeah, this I guess I do not like that sequencing from Tom in that spot. It seems like now there's an opportunity.
We have only 1 Engineered Plague left in the deck. I mean, the wasteland here is going to stop a deed for 5 at least. So now he's got a deed for 0. He's only got 1 card in hand. Yeah, the Call of Herd is something. It's going to be 2 3/3s. Oh my god.
Okay.
Now we have a standoff.
Well, I mean, the goblin tokens do it somewhat. I guess you need 1 more goblin to really profitably. I guess you could attack with 1 token.
I don't understand with Tom at 13. I mean, thank God damage doesn't use the stack, but
yeah.
Okay. I mean, this is just great for like Jared. Tom can't attack.
Yeah.
I mean, why not just this? Okay, Tom top deck to removal spell, evidently. He's going to force a single block and then trade with 2 goblins. Or he's going to half measure. Oh,
so
boy.
Jarrett could block and then use 2 goblins to kill the remaining token. And then you would have... Okay, we're still thinking about combat. But I was going to say, if that were the play, then Jared would be able to attack for...
I mean, Jared can get in 9 damage. So it's not enough, but if Tom leaves just 1 elephant back, it'll be 13 Xaxes. So unless Tom drew interaction. So if I were Tom, I would have a Pernicious Deed in my hand. I would attack with both my elephant. I mean, I don't even know what you do. You couldn't even deed profitably from this spot.
But
Tom can't attack. If Tom can't attack, I mean, he'd be priced into blocking, and then Jared would get in for 5 + 6, 11, and then kill Tom. No, actually 11's short of 13. I would not fetch. I don't need to fetch. But at this point, Jared can just wait for a moment to send this like overwhelming attack. I mean, he's got 5 goblins in play that just represents 10 damage on its own. So he only needs 2 more goblins to kill Tom over a series of turns.
Yeah.
I mean, Tom should just let that Gem Palm Incendiary resolve. Just lost his guys, kept blocking with walls. I mean,
Tom did play a Treetop Village on that last turn, so again, the trample on that 3/3 is pretty relevant. I mean, I guess it probably would just mean that Jared has to use 2 goblins to kill it. Ooh, an 8th land. We have
this is going to be a really good Goblin Ringleader, yeah?
Okay.
But we're going to take damage down to 3. This isn't a win on Jared's side. With Jared down to 3. We're getting intel that Tom was distracted. Not tilted, he's just distracted. His kids probably came into the room, etc., etc. He's like, hold up. Let me blow up Deed really quick first, and then we'll talk. And then he comes back to his board, and he's like, oh, darn, I don't have a board. So
the Ringleader reveals a Sharpshooter, which is a very exciting card if the game goes 2 more turns, but I don't know if we're getting there.
If I were Tom, I would love to play and draw and play this Pernicious Deed.
Does he have?
Yeah, he drew Pernicious Deed. Okay, I'll chump block and not die. Okay, I'll deed. Okay, pass to you. You have Goblin Sharpshooter. I have Treetop Village.
Yeah, BK is noting like the Goblin Matron target where Jared got the Ringleader. Do you think there's maybe more merit of just getting another Siege King commander? Because like the only card that Tom really needed was Pernicious Deed in that spot, right? Oh well,
That's
well, I found a reason. It's because you're just gonna
because
have it
it's
naturally.
just there.
It's just there. So
Oh my lord.
I mean, though, so the treetop village is still there, so you can still force an attack.
Yeah, I mean, you can force some damage getting soaked, but we're gonna dust the city brass before we play an engineer plague number 4, or we're just gonna hold back to block. Blocking's not great.
I think I would attack here if I were Tom.
Yep, I would
You
eat some goblins,
it saves you.
especially with the
It
threat
gets
of
rid
the
of 3
sharpshooter.
goblins or a sieging and a token.
Yeah, which would have been huge.
Uh,
Well, Jared is drawing straight fire.
So the thing is, if he's playing Ringleader from the spot and he's not winning on this turn, why not just play the Sharpshooter? Like, is that Sharpshooter just like
This ringleader can push for damage. So I mean, this is. Oh, I mean,
can it with the Treetop
okay.
Village?
Yeah, because the treetop village effectively can't block.
Like, if you're passing the turn anyways, I think you're just supposed to play Sharpshooter. Because if there's a Sharpshooter instead of a Ringleader and you untap with 6 mana and all these goblins, like, Tom can't even activate a Treetop Village. Like, Sharpshooter plus a Fling, and then your Sharpshooter's untapped, and then the other things get through.
Yeah.
You might just be able to win the next turn.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. But you know, I think these players just love playing their sweet cards. Okay, now the game's over. Somehow, some way, this game actually came to conclusion. Jared is going to send an insurmountable amount of damage to Tom. Tom literally has no outs. He has to get in front of this pile driver, and then the sharpshooter can finish the job. Jared is just going to think about that for a moment, but
Okay.
yeah, this game is unfortunately concluded off of a distracted misplay on Tom's part. It sort of doesn't matter how Jared wants to do this, but this does force a. Does this force a block?
1, 2, 3. So it's a 7-1.
It's 10 damage. It's does not force a block. If I was
No.
Tom here, I would draw Pernicious Deed. Tom, the correct play for Tom is to, I guess if Tom blocks, he can. Oh, okay. Yeah. Tom,
There was a
could
removal
Tom have
spell
gone
for
for-
Smother that
Yeah, it
takes
was
out
a
the
smother.
pile driver. Okay. Okay.
This game has gone really long for where we were like 6 or 7 turns ago. Yeah, I mean, it's looking like an untap with this sharpshooter is going to end the game, though. Jared can simply tank however much damage he needs. Not
The
even
Phyrexian
squirrels could
Rager?
save.
Oh, a Corrosion Tusker?
Frozen Tusker is, a cousin of Phyrexian Rager, and one that I have nearly equal respect for. I actually went up to 2. Lanny's Lanny Rock has 2 Tusker, 2 Rager, 2 Caller Herd, because I just can't decide. I love all my 3 drops equally.
Would an Engineered Plague be enough to stay alive? 1, 2.
Yeah, it would drop Tom down to 3 on the crackback. No,
But
it'd
then
be
you
3
could
plus.
then you could throw all 3.
3 plus throwing, yeah.
I think we're going to see Jared steal this game.
Yeah, that is true. Really, really tricky swap, but just goes to show that the margins are at least small in matches like these, and you can't afford to make a mistake in the PSS. You'll get punished for it, and ultimately, I think it's unfortunate if it really came as a result of Tom being a little bit distracted and having some real life get in the way of Magic. You hate to see it, but
Yeah, and then I mean, some people from Jared's position, he was facing down 2 Engineered Plague, and then the third one came down at one point. Some people might have just conceded, just like been frustrated, and he stuck with it. And yeah, a wild match. It a crazy conclusion to where Jared's able to take down Tom. So
yeah, I definitely didn't see that one coming. But at the end of the day, still really sweet. Got to see both decks do their thing. Goblin's really showcasing its staying power. A decent series of top decks from Jared. It looks like Tranquil Domains and Naturalizes came in. We didn't go all in on Whole Breach though.
All right, let's unmute the players and let's try and listen in, and maybe they have some words about the match.
So you got those to deal with too.
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. I gotta learn from that mistake. I just really meant to pass. I don't even know what I was doing. Slightly distracted, but
yeah, I get you.
Yeah, we've all been there before.
Right,
I've definitely been in moments where I'm just like, what did I do? Like
Hello. Can you guys hear me?
Hello.
Yep. We got
All
you.
right. Okay.
That was
great match, guys.
A wild game.
That was a game. We played 3, but only really played 1.
Yeah.
The first 2 weren't very competitive.
Yeah, I guess we could talk about Tom, like those mulligans. What were any of the hands keepable, or were you just looking for better, or how did that go down?
No, they weren't keepable. There was no lands, so yeah, I think I was. Yeah, I typically don't get a little tilted, but it was like a little irritating. Like that's more what it was. Not even just like personally, it was just like game 1 was mediocre. Like with Jared mulling 2, stuck on 2 lands. It's like not good for viewers, I think.
Don't worry about the viewers. I mean,
that's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, we're still in the arena, guys. So let's that it do be like that sometimes. Jared can play more lands in his deck. Nothing stopping goblins from going up to 26.
I could, yeah. It was just that hand was like, the hand I kept was 2 lands and with the Fanatics, and I was like, okay, at least I have something to do on turn 1, because either way on the draw, I needed something to do early, because my first hand of 7 in game 1 was like 2 3-drops and 2 siege gangs, and I knew he was either playing the Rock or Lansdale, and both times I want to get some early pressure down, ideally, otherwise I'm fighting through removal or counter spells. So I just that's why I shifted back and got something, but either way on the draw it's pretty rough, and then never drawing a 3rd land and having 3 matrons stuck in hand was pretty rough. But but then game 2 was the non-game. Obviously he mulled a 3, and then finally we had a battle in game 3, so that was good.
Yeah, I really respect your strategy to fatigue Tom out to the point where make him mull. Yeah, I think it's interesting because those Fanatics are pretty swingy. Yeah, I mean, on a multi 6, you probably wouldn't have shipped any action.
No,
but those Fanatics getting stalled by the walls right away was kind of unfortunate. It's just kind of like if Tom doesn't have walls, those Fanatics could deal like 20 damage, but he did. But yeah, I mean, I wanted to also give Tom a lot of credit in game 1 when he deeded away everything and just started attacking with Treetop Village to sort of deterministically close out the game. I don't know if you remember it at this point, Tom, but effectively we sort of were all surprised that you just like deeded away your walls and like a couple goblins and then played Deranged Tournament the next turn because it looked like with Recurring Nightmare available, you could only play, like you could have just played Hermit instead of playing Deed that one turn. So my read was that you didn't have Hermit and your plan was just to Deed and then smash with Treetop since you knew Jared's hand and you knew he couldn't get out from that spot.
That's what it was.
Okay.
And then
Yeah.
drawing Hermit, change plans.
Yeah, of course. Hermit's like just so much better there. But yeah, I mean, I thought that was, a great play. I was talking up how, you're the black mid-range master, and you're one thing that you are very consistent in doing is choosing the right turn to start attacking. So that was super sweet. It's unfortunate that the rest broke a different way, but it was a really entertaining set of games.
Good.
Yeah, thanks. No, good playing by Jared. Appreciate that, Lanny. But yeah, it's funny. Like, I'm so tilted. I think by that play. I don't really know what was going on. Actually, it's a blur now. But it's funny though. We get past that, and then I top deck D, and then he top decks the Siege Gang. It's just
Oh, I had that Siege Gang for like 5 turns.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I was holding on to that guy. Yeah.
Well, there was the first one, which Tom D'd it away, and then
Well,
you got a second one.
I did get a second one. The second one I did get.
the second one, not the first one.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
Because I remember I was like, that was just lucky. I kind of apologize, Jared, just because we were going through it at that point because I misplayed and then I got lucky. But then he was like, "Oh, wait, I just ripped this." I was like, "All right, we're even." So
Yeah. That was the I mean, my top decks are great between Matron, Siege Gang, and Ringleaders. At that point, we're all very live and to definitely swing the game, and they did at the very end. So
yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah. That was definitely like I've seen you do some impressive stuff with this Goblins deck, Jared.
I like it. It's fun. The dealer was kind to me, as your co-host would say.
Yes,
The dealer was kind to me.
The dealer had you.
Yes.
Dealer did not have Tom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's plausible. I mean, just hear me out. It's plausible that, Jared, you might have had a little bit more plot armor going into this game. I haven't tallied the thickness of your relative plot armors because both of you have very thick plot armor. You're just like armed to the teeth in plot. Neither of you can die. So yeah, I think you might have had a little bit more plot armor on this one, but that builds Tom's plot armor. Maybe you guys just both find your way into the top 4. But yeah, sweet game.
Sounds good.
All right, with
All
that,
right, guys.
we'll let you guys go. We'll get our players set up for our last round. Thank you very much, Lanny, for jumping in the booth and doing commentary. It was a lot of fun. You did a great job. And yeah,
Michael, you did an excellent job too. You did an excellent job every night you do this. Thank you so much.
All right. So we're going to take a quick break as we get our round 4 players set up. We will be back shortly for our last round of the night. So don't go anywhere. We will be back soon.